Parveenji,
Yes.
your class was very interesting to me because from my experience, you are first Iyengar teacher that I practiced with who actually talks about philosophical aspects
And
of yoga.
meditational aspects.
Meditational, mental work, this integration of body, mind and breath, this was very interesting experience. And can you tell me, is this just your Iyengar teacher background or is this something else also? What is your background in yoga?
Well, when it comes to the asana practice, my entire grammar on asana is something that I have derived from Iyengar Yoga. Of course, that entire intelligence is from Guruji, who's BK's Iyengar, who has injected this aspect of precision, alignment, timing. All that is one aspect that I have taken into my practice and understanding. Then of course I've explored into different aspects of yoga, being not only asana and pranayama. Of course Guruji himself has penetrated these subjects through just asana, and that's the beauty. And it is through the asana that he has developed the understanding of integration of body, mind towards meditation. For me, I got that knowledge from him. My interest continued further to practice meditation not only in the asana subject but also seated meditation. But for Guruji, meditation is in the asana itself. He would develop a sense of meditative sense of mind, where the mind is ekagraha, one-pointed, fixed. Integration, like we say, the integration of the mind. So there's a composition in the asana which takes you towards meditation. That is a dynamic aspect. And also I also wanted to explore a passive aspect of meditation, where I had the chance to understand the teachings of Ramana Maharishi. Ramana Maharishi was a very old sage in the early, he passed away in 1950, so it's a long time ago. What I derive from there is from reading his books and understanding of what the self is, and to contemplate upon the self. See, the underline is yoga is the practice, is the instrument. What we want is to remove suffering from life. We want to remove suffering, and everybody wants to feel good. The processes, we can say one process is yoga, one process is pranayama, one process is meditation. In the end, we want to remove suffering from our life so that we can feel good. So I would say that I'm still experimenting and finding out, taking these treasures that all the sages and teachers have given, and from there I'm trying to understand who am I first, and from that reflection is what I'm giving my students, what I have integrated. I am very sure that in 5 years it will evolve, my teaching will evolve. Another 5 years my teaching will evolve. I can't say it's only this one box. It definitely will evolve in different aspects, and I'm keeping my mind open for it.
That is very outstanding. Because many teachers think now they are teachers and they are just like get stuck in their position in what they already know.
Yes. It is a danger for all of us when we think that we've learned something and then we stop learning.
Yeah, that is dangerous, definitely. that progress, the mind requires some, because they want to fix the mind in a box.
Yes.
Try to avoid any kind of rigid aspect of life. Let life mold you rather than you sit in a box and mold yourself. Yeah. And yoga is so beautiful. There's so many shades there, flavors of yoga. And every flavor of yoga, there's some beauty to inject in the practice. Yeah. So alignment, precision is one aspect of yoga. Yeah.
So what is the goal of your practice for you?
My goal of my practice is, rather than saying my goal of my practice is, I would like to represent the teachings of the sages. I adore the sages. Continuously my mind is always reading and trying to understand what the sages have to give. What they have given many thousands of years ago is still relevant till today. Relevant subject today. Maybe the way we present it is modern, but the subject is still relevant in the traditional grammar. What I want to share is what they want to share. That yoga is to bring the clarity to the mind. In the process of bringing that clarity to the mind, we integrate the body, which is the gross, to the subtle, the mind and the intelligence. By bringing this integration, we get clarity in the mind, so we're able to reflect and see the world as it is. That is what I'm trying to present. I wouldn't say I, representing what the sages are presenting. Yeah.
And tell us, do you have your own practice?
As in my daily practice?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. There's a daily asana pranayama practice, and I do my japas in the evenings. I sit because I must say, admit that I teach a bit too much. And I try to take some time off. And every time I try to take some time off, somehow or other the universe pulls me back into that teaching. Maybe the age is there to teach right now. I have great taste to sit and do japa and meditation. That is my interest, to learn. Always remain as a student of these sages. That is my main interest. So I try to stay in the evening, little while. Mornings I practice. Evening I sit for 1 hour doing my japa and meditating for 1 hour if I can. If my mind permits me to sit, I will sit and rejoice in my true nature.
Yes. Yes, you think the practice, how do you try to incorporate the practice of yoga into your daily activities that are not connected to, teaching, for example, but just like on, simple things that we all do every day? What do you think is the influence of your practice? Is it mostly the meditative aspect of the asana practice, or maybe you feel how it helps the body, the work with the body, how it helps in doing things just like that we all do on a daily basis? Because different teachers have different approach to this in the yoga world, in different other traditions also, working with the body and mind, because there are so many all over the world, and we're interested in like how different particular teachers are perceiving this, the influence of their practice in their daily life, in the regular things that we all do. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing that dawned to me very clearly from the years of practicing in Iyengar yoga tradition and in the tradition of Ramana Maharishi in self-inquiry, Atma Vicharana, is to take one thing at a time. Like how our mind is constantly bouncing to the past and the future, but naturally even the days are presented to us, one day at a time comes to us. So at the same time, what I learned from Guruji B.K. Iyengar is that take one step at a time, do one thing at a time. You may not be doing a big asana, but you're correcting one part, and that value I've taken into my life, to take 1 hour at a time, one moment at a time, one day at a time, so that I'm not rushing. For me personally, I feel sometimes in my life I'm rushing and think, what will happen tomorrow? I did not do this. I'm not procrastinating, but that worry has reduced in my life immensely through the practice, because that is what I feel that Guruji and my other teachers have given me, to take life one step at a time. And that yoga practices, asana practice specifically, has given me the patience to take one thing at a time, gradually.
Don't rush.
Don't rush. You have all the time. You have the time, so do it. You're precise. You know exactly where you're keeping your hands. You know exactly where you're extending, where you're shortening. So the mind also will move with that velocity. The mind will gracefully move. As I'm aging, so I gracefully age into that process. Maturity.
By the way, did you have a situation in your life where you had injuries related with yoga practice?
Now I must say that I started yoga because I had a condition. I had bronchial asthma, very bad, sinusitis, and this was removed completely by the practice of yoga. So I would say that, come, be part of the video. Absolutely fine, natural. Thank you.
As a yoga teacher, how do you find it? Is it challenging for you to have a class, for example, here in Rishikesh?
I think I didn't answer that question.
Oh, yes, please.
Oh, sorry.
Let's go ahead.
So in the beginning, this asana was removed by the practice. So I found back a new body, a new Parveen, a new health and mind set is there. But as I was practicing, of course, due to my, I'm rushing in the practice, so I want to achieve Padmasana, some particular asana. I must admit I have torn my meniscus in trying to do that. But that is something that I take responsibility for myself, for being a bit vata.
Yes.
Rajasic, wanting to achieve something. Of course, that is like maybe now 10 years ago that happened, 12 years ago that happened. Now that injury did not stop me. Rather, it made me become more intelligent and be more careful to work with my body. So that break that life had presented me gave me a little bit more intelligence to take the practice gracefully. So I take it as a blessing in disguise. Definitely. Yeah.
How long are you teaching yoga?
Now let me say, I started in 2004 teaching yoga. I started in the Shivananda tradition first. And then in 2005 I met BK Iyengar. Actually my first teacher was Karen O'Bannon in the Iyengar tradition. And then she introduced me to BK Iyengar. And then I continued the practice until 2014. Guruji left his body. Yeah. Until then.
And since you started practice yoga, has your approach to the practice and to the teaching changed?
Oh, absolutely. Something that dawned to me is I came to the mat for one reason, to remove asthma, sinusitis. Today nothing. My main goal is how I can sit and meditate and reflect in my own nature, to rejoice in my own nature, not look for. Of course, the world is constantly presenting me with so much beauty, but that this beauty within me that I have to discover. So it is no more asthma now. No, it is my own beauty, to rejoice in my own nature. Yeah. You had a question.
As a yoga teacher, do you find it challenging when you have a class here, for example, in Rishikesh, and there are people from all over the world coming to the class with very different experiences, with their different history, age sometimes, and you come to a class and now you're supposed to teach them, right? And of course the expectations are different because they have different levels. How do you manage to look at them and to give them material, to give them things to learn within yoga without making sure that they will not do too much or they will not try to do things that they are not ready for? Because some of the things that we do in yoga or we try to do in yoga, they, like you said, they need time, preparation, strengthening something, opening something, getting the body and mind ready. And like, how do you deal as a teacher with situations like this within a relatively short time? Because even if you have a month, like a teacher training course or something, it is still a very short time to work with a person. How challenging it is for you as a teacher?
See, there are two aspects in this. In the tradition, in the older tradition, which is the Gurukul system, you live with the teacher for a long period of time. You're not only responsible for absorbing the practice, but the mannerism of the teacher. Because the teacher is continuously representing this subject in his daily life. So you look at the teacher, the mannerism, the way the teacher behaves in his daily life, and then the teaching, and then the practice. So this system requires a few years for the student to mature and then come out as a practitioner, and therefore later on 35, 40, maybe mature into a teacher.
Yes.
My teacher told me once, only teach after 40. Then only you will be sufficiently matured to present the subject. But now in the modern setup, there's a little bit of a rush, wanting things fast, which has its plus and minus point. The minus point is trying to achieve something which requires a long period of time. It's a relationship. It requires a long period of time. Okay, you come, you do a 200-hour teacher's training, but really you have to understand that in 200 hours, this science, which is so vast and deep, cannot be absorbed in 200 hours. So that maturity the teacher and student require to understand. But certain values in the surface level we can understand. The student can take back, but it requires some maturity definitely. So it is a challenge, a definite challenge, but the responsibility of a teacher when it comes to a class where there is beginners level, if it is a general class, a mature teacher should know how to manage the beginner student and the student which is slightly mature. The student is highly matured, they will be able to manage themselves. Now they will be able to take themselves deeper. Now when sometimes a class which is mixed has its good values, because the weaker students were able to see the stronger students, they have a stronger energy to lift them up. But at the same time that shouldn't weaken this, if the class goes too fast, then these students can't pick up, so it is very essential to have different level of classes progressively, like how a building comes up from the foundation, progressively structure, cement and everything, how it comes. In the same way, this subject needs to be dealt with. It cannot be dealt like frying noodles. It cannot be presented in that way. It should not be presented that way. This I'm telling you after some years. I was also like that, trying to get things fast, and now I have understood the subject requires time and patience and maturity. Maturity means looking at what is maturity in our subject is looking at that object from all views, from every angle. As a father, look at that situation. As a wife, as a son, look from every angle. Look at one situation. That is called maturity. And then the practice will grow.
So maybe Rishikesh needs more courses for beginners. Because people come just teacher training. Sometimes you need some time just to practice before you start teaching.
See, Rishikesh is catering. If you ask me, let's say about 2005, there were barely any teachers training. 2006, 2007, I think Yoga Alliance were created in 2004, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know when it was. I think 2004 or 5. Then later on, it became very famous, and then that idea concept came from Yoga Alliance, 200 hour, 300 hour, 500. So what the teachers here are selling that concept, but that is not yoga. They're selling a concept in that packaging, but that is not yoga. Yoga is there where you stay with your teachers for a long time, you imbibe that knowledge. It requires years and years and practice. Yeah.
What is your perspective on some stances in yoga, some asanas in yoga? For example, a headstand, which in the West, some people have discovered all kinds of difficulties with that stance because they are completely, very frequently not prepared for that stance. Their body is not. They are very much heavier than most people. Their necks are very, very weak, and even with some props, they're very difficult for them. What is your idea about some stances, some asanas like this, as far as introducing them to students
in drop-in
classes, for example?
See, first, asanas are not concoctions. Asanas are stances that allows you to penetrate the mind so that the mind is ready for the meditative practice. Dhyana and Dharana Dhyana Samadhi, the penetration. So therefore, whether it is Sirsasana, whether it is Adho Mukha Svanasana or as simple as Balasana, whichever asana you're taking, it should penetrate the mind. So when we say that this asana is simple, this asana is difficult, this asana is dangerous, there is certain preparation which is required. So putting a person up into I would say a challenging, I wouldn't say it is dangerous. Life itself is continuously dangerous.
Yes.
It is presenting its danger in different levels. I wouldn't say it is challenging to do Sirsasana for a person who is not prepared. Therefore, preparation is required. When that proper preparation is required with understanding of the dynamics of the body, therefore, when that application is done, then the student comes up in Sirsasana, then it is fine. then it's okay. Of course, there must be a preparation in the practice, and then only they will understand. Like I was teaching yesterday, first you spread the fingers, then ground the thumb, then move the shoulder away from the wrist. So progressively I give one thing at a time, one thing. Now put this all together. Now what happens to the arm? So progressive education, the whole process must, the asana should be educated to the student. Like how we teach our children, like that we have to educate how to keep your arms, how to lift the shoulders up. Now, if somebody has a condition with the neck and the shoulders, then you do different methods are there. BKS Iyengar, Guruji has given different methods, hanging from the ropes. And also you get the benefits of doing the asana is gotten using 2 chairs, going upside down. But what is most important is the asana should eventually penetrate the mind, then there is a integration.
Yes.
Yeah, that is important. That is important. Otherwise, we keep on looking for advanced class. I want to do advanced asana. Advanced here is when the mind is resolved. Am I able to keep my mind with me? Otherwise, I'm continuously looking for something more and more, and twisting the body, and there is going to be injury, inevitably. Inevitably. Yeah.
So do you give headstand in drop-in classes?
Headstand in what? Handstand also I'm giving in drop-in classes, but I prepare the students.
No, but handstand is different.
Yeah.
Like for me.
Yes. Well, the shoulders tend to be stronger.
But I prepare the students, so I tell them. Now those who absolutely have they don't know what I'm talking about. Now you people do these. This is for you. Now prepare first the ability and the strength for you to do this, and the others you do this. So I break the class and I'm able to manage it. Manage the class. So some division is required. Class management.
What is your opinion of teachers adjusting students in an intense way?
That
sometimes we hear a situation when a teacher is
Putting weight, for
Weight,
example.
for
For example, when you are doing forward bend,
okay.
there are famous pictures of some teachers who are standing on the
Standing on the
students.
student. You see, before adjusting a student, there must be a relationship built in between the teacher and the student, which is trust.
Yes.
I must know the student's body. The student must be also aware of the teacher's style of adjustment. So when you touch someone, they must know how to flow along, not fighting the adjustment. So for that integration to happen, it requires time. So you must be practicing with that student or teacher for X period of time so that can happen. So a safe space can take place for adjustment to happen. Aggressive adjustment is not required. If you see, I understand that verbal instruction is very essential. Now sometimes when you adjust the student verbally, if they cannot understand, then you ask them, can I adjust you? Then some adjustment is a direction. It is not like a massage. In massage you are pushing the people into that position. But I feel, this is my my approach is that I give the direction to the student. I'm not pushing them into the pose. You find out how you go into the pose, but I'm telling you this is the way. Now if you require a little bit of a nudge in a safe space, I'm going to nudge you a little bit. I'm going to push you a little bit there. Now how you feel? Now let's do this and then go a little deeper. So there is a respectful space in between the teacher and student, Again I'm saying the asana is by the way. Mind has to be penetrated. That is most important.
Yes.
Yeah, that is essential.
Tell us, if a student has 50 minutes,
only 15 minutes.
only 15 minutes to practice
During the day.
yoga daily, what would you recommend them to do?
Easy.
To find more time.
That's exactly my answer. But at certain, sometimes we don't have that much of time in life. Now, if it is a beginner student, we can do a few standing asanas. If you're slightly matured in your practice, inversions are very important in our practice, daily practice. It reverses the flow of the body, the blood flow of the body back into the brains and the glands. So again, if you're a beginner, do the standing, set some standing asanas like Vrikshasana, Trikonasana, Ashvakonasana. All standing asanas are all the gateway to the spine. And it's very important to keep the spine column straight in pranayama and in meditation. The same thing, once they are slightly matured, they can add. And mind you, if in 15 minutes they will get the taste, and then they will increase half an hour, then the taste will come, increase, and then they will go for teachers training whatsoever. The taste has to increase. But what I really hope that all these students will be able to come to the understanding that they don't put the brakes in pranayama. They don't put their brake in asana practice. Stop. They go deeper into pranayama. They go deeper into pratyahara, then into the meditation, then into the subject samadhi. You can. It is possible. The reason is we are playing with the body too long. You're hanging from here, hanging from there, picking somebody up, throwing it. All that is, you're playing with the body too much now. The body must be used to penetrate the mind. The problem, the challenge is that we are trying to cure the mind from not knowing that what is my true nature. But here we are playing with the body, continuously playing with the body, twisting, turning.
That's exactly what I had such feeling from some of the teachers, that they are focused too much of this, like for example alignment of this detail, that detail, and in this focus also students think that the whole point is just to get this form, is just to get this body to certain position, to certain ability, and sometimes it slips from the attention that there is some deeper levels of yoga to be discovered, actually, which is the purpose.
The process gets stagnated.
Yes.
The process gets stagnant. You are penetrating, but you're stopping in the asana. You have to go further now. You have to go deeper. And deeper here means progressing from asana to pranayama. Then from there, you blossom into pratyahara, the withdrawal of the senses, and then going deeper and deeper and deeper. Otherwise, we get stuck. And it is very easy to get stuck because the body is tangible, something gross, and we want to feel good constantly. So every time I want to feel good, what should I do? Stand on my hand, What is it? There is a limit. How much of sugar can you take?
Yes. So do you think that a student, for example, your student of yoga, who has some challenges in his body, so he cannot do a certain pose, can he be considered still mature yoga practitioner because of some other aspects of his practice?
Absolutely. If the mind is resolved, it doesn't matter. If that mind is able to remain calm in all situations, that is yoga. Samatvam yoga uchyate, that mind which is in equilibrium. Just that, resolved. Nothing can shake me. Resolved. Not out of ego, but out of because I am resolved in my life. I know what is permanent and impermanent. Sat, what is real, what is unreal, I know in my life. So I am resolved. Not because I want or I don't want to react, because I am resolved. Or whether or not, if you see the picture of Ramana Maharishi is sitting like that, one side of the spine is dropping. Now, if you look at the alignment, then you see the alignment of the spine is wrong. Isn't it? He's sitting like that. Isn't it? Slouching. But he may be slouching, his spine may be not erect, keeping the head in line, but his mind is resolved. His mind is reflecting the inner self. Therefore, that mind is mature. That is yoga. Does not require. But I am not saying that preparation is required. Certain students require to go from that preparation. They are required to go step by step.
Because it's difficult to go, for example, for 10-day retreat like Vipassana or some other retreats and just work with the mind for 10 days. Some people want some tangible work with the body to lead them very slowly.
The mind itself has many textures. The gross mind, which is the body, the pranic mind, which is the breath, then the subtle mind with the mind, then the intelligence. The mind itself has many flavors, so we have to deal with the gross mind first. There is intelligence in the fingers, there is intelligence in the wrist. All these intelligence you have to deal with first, and then when you have to sit in Yoga Sutra, Vyasa, Sage Vyasa is given all the sitting, Padmasana, Virasana, all these asanas. To have the ability to sit in this asana practice is required. We require that flexibility, elasticity in the body. But we shouldn't say that only if we have an elastic body, therefore can it penetrate the mind. That is not the truth. It is not the truth.
It is just one of the angles from which you can access.
Yes, you can access the body, mind through the body. But one who has done it, we say in many other births they have done it. So they can access the mind, penetrate the mind directly. It's possible. In many sages' life, Gajanan Maharaj, many sages in India, they are not sitting still. In different positions they are sitting. But absolutely a blessing to this world. They become a blessing to this world. Otherwise, you can do all asanas and you are a nuisance. You're a nuisance value.
You can just be good in doing asanas, and that's it.
That's it. Outside, we don't know how to deal with the world.
Yes. It's very nice that you have this soft manner of teaching class, because some Iyengar teachers, they are very strict.
Requires some, I don't know, maybe life has presented me all, or I looked for different values in the practice itself. I keep on questioning myself, do I need to do this to myself? Because I was doing that before. I was very sharp, and then I found that sharpness was actually, I was hitting my own self.
Yes.
Too rigid. I was rigid actually on myself. Why they're not getting on? Then they need time. They need maturity. And I found that love, that with the love you teach, they will understand. With love. They're not understanding, it's okay. With love, it will come. At least I feel like that. Because I want to be loved in my life. It's the same thing. Everybody wants love in their life. To be so hard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you both.